Good morning. It's lovely to see you. Here we are outside again with the birds. See, there's birds. Okay, let me show you some flowers. Flowers that I keep forgetting to show you because they're in a different part of the garden. Look at these. So many primroses. Yes, they are primroses, but they're obviously not the yellow ones that everybody knows. Morning, Annie! And there's clover behind them, but the funny thing about leaving the clover growing is that everything does better down here. Because, of course, the clover makes nitrogen, and that means things have something to eat. This is pretty poor ground down here. So, they're just velvety and beautiful, and they get chewed, but, that's part of the deal of being a flower. Let me see if I can make the colour more like what I'm seeing. It's not that really, like that colour in the middle of the screen's really bright. It's the darker colour that you can see, which is more like what they are. Cameras change things. They have to. And here's something else that's come out. It's little hawara daffodils. They're called hawara after a place in New Zealand is called Hawera. So halfway up the North Island. So there they are. And if you know your daffodils, you know that these are obviously a cross between a poet's narcissus and something else, because they have these reflexed petals, the ones that point back, and this little cup is reminiscent of a poet's narcissus as well. And I have poet's narcissus here, but they're not even up yet. They're a very, very late daffodil. So, little piece of information there for you. Did I say good morning to you, Linda? It's lovely to see you. And good morning, Jim. And here is this, I don't know what this is either, but it's beautiful, and it grows with the cotula. They just support each other wonderfully. And I love it. It's just covering the ground. And look, the hyacinths are coming out. They're white hyacinths, but they're still hyacinths, and they're just gorgeous, and there's so many of them. You can see there's a whole row of them up there. And then that's the sort of poster shot of the soldiers and sailors and the jonquils, which are still going. So this is the side of the garden, and let's go visit the magnolia. You have to appreciate these things while we're here. What's the point in growing beautiful flowers if you don't stop to savour them? Look at this. Isn't it glorious? The bits inside, I don't even know what they're called. But, magnolias are wonderful things. And these ones look so scruffy, but there's a beautifulness in their scruffiness. Look. You can see why it's called a star magnolia. Absolutely why. And let's not forget the fabulous snowflakes. I just love this. This massive clump completely covered itself with flowers now. It's just a few bulbs that I salvaged from a place down the road, which used to be this single house on a massive section, and they had bulbs across the front. And there were just a few, and that section was bulldozed because the house had basically fallen completely into disrepair. And when I saw that it was going to be taken to pieces, I grabbed some of those bulbs, and actually most of the bulbs, which I'll just quickly show you here, most of the greenery that you can see in the circle garden is from belladonna lilies, and those are belladonna lilies that I rescued from that section as well. I just went there with my fork and whipped them out one day when nobody was noticing, because they were just going to be ground into the ground, and I wanted them. So there you go, they got a new life here. Oh, I've just realised a better way that I can show you, especially if I stand in my own garden, can show you the magnolia. Because if I get too close to it, the Wi-Fi dies. So I can't give you a close-up, but there it is. It's fabulous. Okay, get to the topic. We're having this wonderful conversation about manifestation at the moment. And, everybody wants to manifest. Manifestation is the thing. But there's a lot of, dare I say it, chatter. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of, this is how you do it, about manifestation that says, well, you just think positive, and you need to know exactly what you want, and you need to focus on it every day, and you need to take action to create it every day, and all that's good, by the way. But the piece that was so missing for me, which I think we talked about yesterday, yesterday is another lifetime. I'm a new person today. I created myself anew again this morning. The piece that was missed out is you've actually got to feel it. And you're not just going to have this fleeting idea, oh, well, that'd be nice, it'd be fun if blah, blah, blah happened. It'd be awesome. No, that doesn't count as feeling it. Feeling it means that this thing that you are creating, that you want to have, that you are just waiting for, and that's another thing, we don't want to be waiting for it, but let's say that we're waiting for it. Hi, Robin! That you get to know how it is when this thing you're not waiting for it, you're not looking for it, it's here. And you feel that in every cell of your body. You feel it in your bones. You know it in your soul. It's incontrovertible. And you can't even explain how much you know that it's yours. Now, that's what I mean by feeling it. Hi, Amy! That's what I mean by feeling it. And this is the reason why so many people don't succeed in manifesting what they desire, whatever it is, and why people think, they follow all the instructions and they do the things, and they wonder why nothing happens. This is why. Now, why? Why is this so critical? And why am I making such a fuss about feeling it in your bones, letting it be like your state of being, your normal way of being? It's just that this is how your life is. Even when in 3 dimensions, it's not. Here I am, just carrying on yesterday's example, here I am creating myself absolutely abundant, feeling it, knowing it. You see, I was just about to use the word believing it, but the problem is that for many people, the word belief is quite intellectual. It's something I know, it's something I understand, I believe this. And for me, that word doesn't do it for me. For me, the word that I like to use is I embody it. To embody absolute abundance. And for me, that actually means I don't even think about money anymore. I just don't think about it. I do the things I need to do, and I have tons of resources to use for the things that I want to create in the world. Period. So, if I am embodying that, then I can't be feeling afraid because my dear friend Sang Marie, has this headache. I don't know if it's gone away yet. And I noticed this, he sent me an update on WhatsApp. And he said, well, I've got this thing. I went off to the doctor and the doctor gave me some medication. I'm resting. And if the thing doesn't go away, I have to go back and get some more tests. Now, the immediate thought that I had was, oh, gee, how are we going to pay for that? Now, that is not a thought that comes from absolute abundance. Because if I was really embodying absolute abundance so that it's me, so that it's who I am, so I don't even have to think about it, that thought would not occur to me. QED, that's my journey, is to come more and more and more into that state of being where it's like, oh, okay, of course it'll be fine. And it is. It's always been fine. But I've had a program that says, oh, no, it's not fine. I've got to be afraid about it. I've got to fear about it. That's my journey. I'm excited to be changing it. Don't anybody offer me solutions. It's okay. I got this. See, I know that now. I know that I can overcome this aspect of myself because I'm getting feedback from the universe to show me that it's really happening, which is cool. But I still know that I'm not absolutely embodying it because that thought occurred. Now, I didn't entertain it for long, but it's still not so innate in me that it never came up. So that's what I mean by feeling it. That it becomes your normal state of being to know that you're healed or that you're loved or that you're worthy or, whatever it is. It is just your normal state of being. And that does not happen overnight. Particularly if your normal state of being, like me, has been something else for however many decades. Or you've had a very powerful single experience, perhaps, but it's completely blown your world to pieces, and it's like, who the hell am I now? And, and your brain is wanting to rush off and review all of that pain and that trauma and make that who you are and what you're about. So, whatever it is, we really have to be very conscious about this. So, getting to the point. Why is it so important to be able to actually embody your desires? Hi, Jen! Ahead of them ever happening. What is the deal with that? So this is what I've learned from my inspiration, Joe Dispenza, who does this, right? Who daily faces himself in exactly the same way that I face myself. I'm always so impressed by his absolute authenticity and the complete lack of bullshit in the man, which I so adore, because so many very spiritual people, they push my bullshit button. Now, I don't know if it's me or them, it doesn't matter, but he doesn't push my bullshit button. I'm so grateful. Rebecca, good morning. You know, so here's what it takes to manifest. You've got to have a clear intention. And by a clear intention, that's a function of the brain, and the brain has to be coherent. It's not, you can't have a clear intention when you're and freaking out about stuff and worrying and fearful and coping with shit, and you know your brain's going at 90 miles an hour. That you can't have a clear intention when that's happening. A clear intention is a function of a coherent brain. So you got to get coherent, and we've talked many times about opening your focus, because that helps your brain slow down and get coherent. It's been used by the Buddhist tradition of meditation for thousands of years, and now we understand the science of it. When you open your focus into the space around you, and you keep doing that, and you keep overcoming the fact that your brain wants to rush off in different directions and think about what happened yesterday and what you're going to do now or tomorrow or next hour, the brain slows down, and the different compartments in the brain that were all rushing off in those different directions, they start to communicate together, and the brain operates more holistically, and then you can have a coherent thought, and you can get really clear about what you want, which quite frequently is not what you think you want when you're in that frantic running around like a headless chicken state. So that, and you know, less than 1/10 of what it's really about is a coherent thought. You've got to have a clear intention. And then you've got to have elevated emotion. And that's, you know, we talked about this, we practiced it on Monday. The elevated emotions of the heart. Gratitude is the one that is generally best to start with. If you can't find anything else, there is always something or someone or some memory or some potential in the future that you can find. You think, oh, yeah, you know, I'm so grateful nobody's shooting at me right now, whatever it is. Because, you know, there are people who have people shooting at them. And if that's not you, hell, be grateful. Julian, good morning, lovely. There is so much to give thanks for. And just coming into gratitude for what you have is a really, really good starting point, because once you can, again, it takes effort, because if you're used to being miserable or depressed or resentful or lackful, like me, or whatever, for 10, 20, 35, 47 years, however long it is, you really know how to do that, and you don't know how to be grateful. You haven't practiced it. You're not good at it. So you have to practice it, and your brain will want to race off and do the old thing, because it's epigenetically, you've conditioned it to like resentment or despair. And now you actually have to change your gene expression, that's a whole other conversation, so that it likes being happy, it likes being grateful, it likes being joyful. And you think, oh shit, I don't even know how to do that. But gratitude is a great place to start. And if you don't know what love feels like, find someone to love on. But don't love on them out of a feeling of obligation and I must, but actually find someone you can genuinely want to give something to. Because I learned this. I just raved about this. I learned this from Dr. Joe. I think it was just yesterday, listening to Dr. Joe on Dr. Joe Live. When you give to somebody, it releases oxytocin in your heart. Oxytocin is the love chemical. That's why giving feels so good, because you have that, you get a chemical reward, right? Oxytocin is, I feel love. So giving from a genuine state of wanting to give, not out of obligation duty, great way to feel good. Take that emotion, whip it up some more. It takes energy and effort if you're not used to doing it. When you can marry up your clear intention, the coherent brain, with elevated emotion, and if you're truly feeling love or gratitude, you have a coherent heart. And you make that magnetic field. This is an electrical signal. This is the broadcast says, universe, I want this. The magnetic signal that's produced by your heart, which is 50,000 times stronger than the brain signal, by the way. It's really big. And it can produce a field around you that's about 9 meters across, 27 feet. It's big. When we get lined up, we make a big electromagnetic field, and it doesn't really stop because, of course, we're quantumly entangled with all the universes and the whole of time. Okay, just to blow any of that bullshit out of the water, or into the water, or whatever it is, we are enormous. When you get a clear intention, that clear, coherent thought, and an elevated emotion, which means you have a coherent heart, and you pair them up about the same thing, in that moment, you are embodying having that experience, and your body is so objective in that moment while you are feeling, oh my God, I have my dreams, I'm here, I feel it. In that moment, your body is having that experience. And in short, without explaining anything about it, that chemically, biologically changes you in that moment. That is actually how you change your epigenetic expression. You have a different experience. Do you know there are behavior-dependent genes in our bodies, and they switch on, and there's two sorts, and I can only remember two different names, but they switch on if you have a novel experience, or you feel a really, really good feeling, or you do something powerful, and there's a big emotional charge. Now, that big emotional charge, when it's negative, we all know what happens. It's called trauma. But when you have a huge emotional charge and it's positive, just imagine what that does to the power of the signal that you are sending to the universe. It amps it up. And remember, it's magnetic. That positive emotion is magnetic. And that positive emotion literally draws your future to you. Which is why, if you're looking for your future, if you're seeking it, if you're waiting for it, where is it? If you're thinking, what do I need to do to make it happen? You are not in that experience of having it. You're not embodying your future. And therefore you're separate from it. You're not having that experience, so your body's having the experience of not living your dreams, if you like. And that magnetic field is not broadcasting to the universe, I have this. It's really, and this is quantum physics. This is not some great philosophy. This actually truly works. So the piece I haven't talked about is how much I have to get beyond myself to really have this work. And you too, by the way. You know, the whole thing of going into the unified field and getting beyond my identity, my past, my future, my body, where I am, everything, just into this glassy blackness that's completely everything, and there's nothing there, but it's full of frequency and information and love. And in that space, when I have a clear intention and an elevated emotion, that's all there is. And the universe gets a really, really clear signal. It says, oh, okay. And then I come out of that space, and my job just for today is to embody, as much as I can, what I remember of what I was just doing when I was in 5D. I practice it in 5D, and I come back to 3D. And my job is just for today, and in fact, just this moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment, and you get the idea. To, as much as I can, be that person that I created this morning, who is completely different from the person I created yesterday. Because when I go back into the unified field, it's like I never left. And we just pick up, me, and divinity, source, God, all that is, whatever name you want to use for it, we just pick up exactly where we left off. Because there's no time there. There is no time. And that's the other thing. When you really hit the gong powerfully in a place where there is no time and in a place where there is no space, everything is it's like if you took the entire world and collapsed it into a single point. There's no space between you and me, and there's no space between any of the experiences I want. There's no space, and all the matter in the entire universe, apparently, if you condense it, is about the size of a pea. It's all space, and if you get rid of the space because you've gone 5D, then everything is available to you in that moment if you just tune yourself into it. Clear intention, elevated emotion, I'm right there. And if I'm right there powerfully enough and consistently enough, that's how I draw that experience from, because there's no space, right? There's no time. I'm outside of all of that. I'm just becoming it. And when I come back to here and I embody that as much as I can, and I fall off the horse all the time too, quantumly, because I've closed that spatial gap, there is no gap between the point of consciousness of who I am. I mean, we talked about that yesterday, who I am now and who I want to be. There's a gap. between where I am now and where I want to be. You get up in the morning and you want to make your cup of coffee. There is a point of consciousness, I'm awake, and there's a point of consciousness, I'm in the kitchen making coffee. And there's something you have to do to get from one to B. You have to get your body through space to go into the kitchen. In 5D, none of that exists. You're there in the kitchen, and it becomes who you are. And if I can keep that who I amness in 3D, I do not have to go looking for stuff. It finds me. Because I created it in no space. I created it in no time. There's no separation there. And that is how, when these things arrive, they just come out of nowhere. Because I created it nowhere. And sometimes, depending on me, they come in no time at all. Because I created it in no time. Really is how it works. This is quantum physics in action, and this is who we are. And that, in very short, is how you do it. Now, for more information, go look up Joe on YouTube. Dig into his website, read his books, they're life-changing. And, do the work. Big love. I will see you tomorrow with bells on. Bye-bye.